Hi everyone, happy Friday. I hope you have all had a good week and you're ready for another lesson with me. We're doing questions again, this time tag questions. So we've done yes no questions, we've done information questions or WH questions, and today we are doing tag questions. So tag questions are really useful for spoken English. Hi James, it's good to see everybody here. We've got a regular group on Facebook and on YouTube, so it's great. Alright, so let's get started. So, as I just said, so if you missed any of the other lessons, on Wednesday we did yes-no questions, yesterday WH questions, and today we're doing tag questions. But before we get into the tag questions, I just want to check yesterday's homework where we practiced the WH questions and you had to put the sentences in the correct order. So if you know any of the answers, you can write them in now. Hi, Rafael. So if you know how to rearrange any of these sentences, just write them in the comments. Hi, Sawar. Hi, Yuri. Saeed, I think almost. And Clasio, yep. Where do you go shopping? Good. Yes, live from Australia, Rafael. Well done, Maria. Good, Yuri, and good, Saeed. Where are you working at the moment? Saeed, good. Well done, Yuri. How long have you been Facebook? So this is a present perfect question. Good, Saeed. Well done, Maria. So almost just need at. So we say at the moment. Good. Clesio and Saeed. Who did you catch up? Almost Clesio with yesterday. Just need the with. Oops. Yuri, yes you can, but we really don't use whom very much. Saeed, correct. Why were you looking? Correct. Good job. Good job, Dosei. Good job, Maria. And the last one's a bit tricky because we've got 2 WH words in the sentence. Hi Fahim. Hi Tao. Long time no see. Tan, isn't it? I've got Tao. Tan, I think, is your name. Yuri, very good. Dare say very good. So what will you do when COVID-19 is over? I probably will go and see my family. What will you do? So good job, Dose, Yuri. Everyone. I think everyone did some answers in there. Okay, so that was yesterday's WH questions. Now let's talk about tag questions. Tag questions are, I think, quite easy to make. You just simply have a statement and then a tag, or the question tag. And a tag means a little bit extra. So we actually, on our clothes, you know this, can you see here? This is a tag. So think of the statement and then a little extra tag. Dare say, when COVID-19 is over, she will go out for dinner. Yes, me too. Okay, so I just want to emphasize that we use tag questions only in spoken, so we don't write it, definitely not anything formal. Native speakers use it all the time, and we use it when we are checking that information we think is true. So it's not really a question where you have no idea of the answer. It's when you are quite sure, but you want to check. Do you pronounce I'll like all? Sometimes, I think. Maybe it's an Australian accent. Oh, yeah, I think I do sometimes. Okay, so here are some examples. So first we've got a yes/no question. So I write that in. Here, what the? Sorry, it did sound weird. Okay. Yes, no. This is our statement. And then this is our tag question. So did the coronavirus start in China? So this is when you don't know the answer. The answer, the coronavirus started in China. And then this is how we make the tag question. We say the statement and then we add, didn't it? So let's look at it a bit closer. So the coronavirus started in China. So we've got, like most sentences, we've got the subject, we've got the verb, and then we need to put a comma. So when we're speaking, we do a little pause, and then we have an auxiliary verb and it. And what's it? It is the coronavirus. So we usually put the pronoun. Okay. Now something I want to point out with this is you see how we've got the auxiliary in the negative. So when the statement is positive, the auxiliary is negative. But we can have the opposite. Okay. So to make the statement negative, we'll use the auxiliary, didn't, and then we don't need this. And then this becomes the positive. Okay. So we've got, the subject, we've got the auxiliary, we've got the main verb, after the comma, we've got the auxiliary, and then the subject. Okay. Let's have a look at another example. Okay, so we've got a pronoun, subject. We've got are, so in this case it's an auxiliary. We've got our main verb. And then after the comma, we've got the auxiliary and the subject. So you can see the subject is the same and the auxiliary is the same, but one of them is negative. So if the first one is positive, then in the tag it's negative, and vice versa. Okay. So Fahim has done an example correct. John is teaching math, isn't he? Good. All right, let's look at this example. Does anybody know what tense this is? This is she has been, is present perfect. So in this case, our auxiliary, of course we've got the subject, our main verb, and then we've got the auxiliary in the negative, so plus not, and then our subject again, so the same pronoun. Good. So John is teaching math, isn't he? They are at home, aren't they? So good job, Clasio and Fahim. is a bit... better. Alright, so what about this one? You like being at home. So how do we add the tag? So we've got the subject, and then like is not an auxiliary, it's the main verb. So remember, we need, after the comma, we need the auxiliary and the in the negative, and then the subject again. So Fahima's got it. They like being at home, so the auxiliary is do plus not, and then the same subject, don't you? Now, you notice we always, where's my highlighter? We always use the contraction for tag questions. So we would never say, you like being at home, do not you. Never. It's always, don't you. Alright, try this one. So we've got our subject, oops, our main verb, good Fahim, and don't you, good Clesio. All right, so we can in English put the auxiliary here. Okay, you do like football, don't you? So this is the full form of the sentence, but we never, well, we do sometimes, but we rarely put the do, but we know that it's there. So that's why when it's the subject and then the main verb, the auxiliary on this side is do not. Try this one. So you have hand sanitizer. So that's what everyone is using to clean their hands all the time. This one is a little bit tricky because have can be an auxiliary and it can be the main verb. So in this case, subject, there's no other verb. So this is the main verb. So it's the same as this one. You see how we've got the subject and the verb. Yeah? So do is there, but we don't say it. So in this sentence, it's the same. So have can be a verb and it can be the auxiliary. So the answer is the same. Okay, so if you said haven't you, and lots of people did, it's okay, but it does sound strange. So most of the time, you have hand sanitizer, don't you? Because have is the main verb. question, Yuri. All right. I'll answer your question in a minute. Let's just finish this one. So does that make sense? Let's look at the other one with have. Okay, so here we've got have in the form has. So the main verb is been, and has here is the auxiliary. So on this side, we use hasn't. But in this case, have is not the auxiliary, it's the main verb. Okay, hope that's clear. What about in this case? So you have to think, is have the main verb or the helping verb, the auxiliary? Okay, good. So, almost for him, have we. Let's just make this a bit smaller. Okay, so let's have a look. So, I'm sure this was just a simple mistake, but of course we have the same pronoun. Then we've got have as the auxiliary, because been is the main verb. Therefore here we use have, and here it's negative, so the tag is positive. Does that make sense? Let's try this one. See if anybody knows the answer. So in this case, our subject is it. Our verb is the verb to be. Good. So put our subject. Yeah, so Yuri's got it. Fahima's got it. And so when the statement uses the verb to be, then we use the verb to be in the tag. Well done, Rafael. Clesio, good job. Right. What about this one? Does anyone know this one? If you're not sure, don't worry. I will go through all the rules in a moment. Good. So can we? Yep. Well done, Jane. Dare say good. Good. So can is a modal. So like the verb to be, when we are using a modal, that's what we use as the auxiliary and the same subject. Excellent. So here are the rules. So if the statement has an auxiliary verb, then we use the auxiliary verb in the tag. For example, we don't need to go to the office, do we? You are still healthy, aren't we? Aren't you, sorry. If there is no auxiliary verb, so when it's present or past in the positive, we use don't, doesn't, or didn't. You like working at home, don't you? You arrived home 3 months ago, didn't you? Okay, if the main verb is the verb to be, then you use to be in the tag. So you're late, aren't you? If there is a modal verb in the statement, you use the modal verb in the tag. We should be careful, shouldn't we? And if the main verb or the auxiliary is am in the positive, the tag uses aren't. So this one is just a strange rule, but we say, I'm always busy, aren't I? I'm always busy, aren't I? Okay, so we've got a couple of good questions here from Yuri. So let's look at your first one, Yuri. All right, so we go here. So everyone can see Yuri's question. So he showed you the whole kingdom, did he? Okay, so this is from the movie The Lion King, a wonderful movie. And the point is that this statement is positive. So why is the auxiliary positive? Because the rule is when it's positive, then the auxiliary is negative or the opposite. So when we want to convey sarcasm, it's a hard word to explain. I hope you understand. Sarcasm is, well, it's not very nice. So you say the opposite of what you mean. So for example, okay, you have a boss or a manager and you do not like them at all. And someone says, oh, how's your boss? And you say, wonderful, like that. So you say, fantastic. Your voice says the opposite than what you mean. So this is another way to convey sarcasm. He showed you the whole kingdom, did he? As if I'm interested, but I'm not really. Or maybe he showed you the whole kingdom, but did he? Means that, so Scar says that, I think. Yeah. So Scar says that probably he didn't show you the whole kingdom. So he's using sarcasm to show the opposite of what he means. I hope that makes sense, Yuri. You can ask me if not. And a question about catching up. So catch up has a few different meanings. Catch up has, if you catch up with a friend, it means that you see a friend and talk to them about everything that is happening in your life since you saw them. So it probably just means that you go and see your friend and have a chat. So it's informal way of saying to talk to your friend. Catch up is a phrasal verb that can also mean what you what you've written there. So, or maybe it's like your homework. So you are meant to have read 20 pages and you've only read 10. So tonight you are going to catch up and finish. So reach everybody else where they're at. Okay? Hope that helps. So let me know if you've got any other questions. And I just want to quickly go back to pronunciation of tag questions. So remember, usually for a question, our voice goes up at the end. So it's a bit like this one. So if it was a normal yes/no question, is it raining? Is it raining? And then for a tag question, it's raining, isn't it? We can also say, it's raining, isn't it? So I would say that this one, I'm 95% sure that this is true. Because usually in a sentence, it goes down at the end. It's raining, isn't it? But this one goes up. It's raining, isn't it? So this one is like maybe 60% sure that this is true. Okay, and then I've just included this because tag questions are very common in Australia, very common in Britain, in British English, New Zealand, but not so common in, not so common in the United States. So they are more likely to use right. So it's raining, right? All right. Assam. You want me to say your name? Okay. All right. So Claudia says there's an interesting subject about questions as well. It's embedded questions. Yes. Oh, let me know if you want embedded questions. I think maybe it's complicated for this live lesson, but it might be better if I make a YouTube video, Clesio, on embedded questions, because I think sometimes with the live I have to wait and the time lag, so it's easier to do something short and simple. But yes, embedded questions are very interesting. Yuri, you're welcome. Yes, there's a lot. If you're watching movies, it's really good for your English, your pronunciation, your listening, but it's very hard to understand all of the cultural understanding that we have. But you will get there eventually. The more you watch, the more you listen, you will improve. Okay. Yes, it is something that you need to feel. I agree. All right. Oh, that was from yesterday. Okay. So this is your homework. More than usual. 7 questions. So can you add the tag to each of these statements? So choosing the correct tag. And I have the homework, as always, on this page, as well as all the other videos, if you want to go back and watch any of them. So thanks everyone, thanks for coming, thanks for watching. If you like these lessons, please share them with your friends. And also just write in the comments. I really like reading your comments. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Jane says raining is very difficult pronunciation. It's hard to say raining. Let me know Jane? Jane, and you're from Brazil? Okay. Maybe I can talk to you about that tomorrow. But thanks everyone for watching, and I hope to see you again in tomorrow.